Hello there. Bentley, two damn many projects with another damn project. And what I'm going to talk about isn't something that I'm doing. Well, I might be doing something concerning it if I can get away with it. It's not about something going on in the shop, although we deal with it every day. It's something something you deal with every day. And it's getting worse. Now, as you all know, when you have that light come on the dashboard of your car, it could say service engine soon, it could be a little yellow thing that looks like a motor, or it'll say check engine soon. Every time that comes on, first thing that comes to mind is money. So you go to a shop and you spend money to find out what it is. And they'll tell you, well, you got XYZ that's wrong with your car. And the problem is it's going to cost you $1,000 to fix. Or it's going to cost you $1,500. And of course, you can research it on Google. You see what do the codes say. A lot of them don't want to give you the code. And you're paying for it, you're entitled to it. Don't let anybody pull that BS on you. If you pay for a diagnosis, you want to see exactly what the codes are. I had a dealer pull that on me once, and they didn't like the result. You pay for a diagnostic, you're entitled to know. So you might run into something else. Let's say your car has to have jump start every morning. You park it, everything's fine, turn the key off, come back next morning, click, it's dead, jump start, bang, bang. Something's drawing power. So you take it in and you get charged for a bunch of work trying to figure out what it is. And that can be quite expensive because this stuff doesn't reveal itself real readily. I mean, you can go through a process of finding out what's going on by reading a multimeter, which is the procedure for it. But the bottom line is there's a lot of things to look at. You got just so many fuses and so many boards in these cars, and they got so many modules in them. And one of the common ones that we run into is a thing called the body control module. And this module basically, it's about $1,000 box, depending on what vehicle it's in, plus labor. And it basically, one of its things, it does the same thing that a $12 flasher did, is it makes your turn signals work. It regulates the headlamps and everything you do. So when you turn the headlamps on, you're actually telling this computer called the body control module to turn the headlamps on for you. And then it does the courtesy of putting a code in if one of them is burnt out that'll say, hey, headlight burnout, left low beam. That's all well and good. Believe me, you could have seen that, just by doing a light check. But everything is run through there, okay? Your power window module, the thing that controls the windows going up and down all the way around, that goes into the body control module. The instrument cluster goes into, and your alternator, the thing that charges your battery, is controlled by the instrument cluster through the body control module, all right? And all these are things that have problems and go wrong. Instrument clusters are very common going wrong, and a lot of it is just that the solder joints have gone bad. Take it apart, take a soldering iron, just touch every one of the joints where it comes through the board, and that can cure it. Same thing with some of the modules, like the ABS module. We've run into those for years, where don't bother putting a new module on it, just go in there, and if it hasn't been, completely sealed up to where you can't touch it, just touch the contacts with a soldering iron, and bada boom, bada bing, it's working again, all right? And all it was a cracked solder joint, brittle solder, vibration of the car. You name it, there's all kinds of reasons for it. It's not a blame situation, it's just something goes wrong. But, I've seen cars with $2,100 for an ABS module, and that's all that it needed. So I think that's kind of a harsh reality there that, people need to know there's a workaround. One of the other problems that you're running into is with this drain. The radio goes through there, the air conditioning goes through there, the heater goes through there, every power seat you got, every part of it goes through these modules into the body control module. And there are some makes out there that the body control modules are junk. They're bad. And we run into them all the time. And the biggest problem is they have a software you can get as a private shop. And it's like $700 to get it. It's absolutely crap, okay? And that will reset it. You can put, and what it wants to know when you replace the module is, what's the mileage, what's the VIN number of the vehicle. It is basic information. And how do you want it to operate? You want the lights to come on any old time that, no matter where the switch is, when it gets dark, turn right. There's all kinds of dumb questions. And I'm not saying that's what they all do. They're just there. But you've got all this stuff to reprogram the body control module, and this thing is $700. Well, if I see one of those a year, that means every job, buy the module, which could be up to $1,000. Do the labor to figure it out, which $200, $300, $400. Sometimes it doesn't reveal itself real easily. Installing it and going through this program, I gotta charge customers $700 for it if that's the only one of the year, and that's garbage. I mean, I cannot see making a $700 investment to get a program. So the option is we put the new body control module in and we tow it over to the dealer, and they leave it sit for 2 weeks. And they go in there and say, oh, we can't do it. We can't do that. We didn't install it. We don't know what's going on. It's, just BS excuses, all right? Had this happen on motorhomes. It's disgusting. Oh, we're not taking motorhomes. Well, why don't you just come down? We'll park on the curb. You come down. No, we won't do that. They won't accommodate you at all. They made thousands of dollars on this motorhome chassis, but they won't fix the thing for you. They won't do anything for you. Even if you're paying for the job, they won't do it. And it's gotten past a joke. If anybody followed the John Deere debacle, they decided that no one was ever going to touch a John Deere tractor. No farmer, no repairman, nothing. Well, it's typical with our government, as dysfunctional as it is. In 2001, they passed this Auto Repair Act, which was supposed to make it to where if you're an individual or an independent repair facility, the manufacturer through his dealer has to make the proprietary information and equipment available to you. Now you have to give him a deposit. Hey, it's a $10,000 machine, so I got to give him a $10,000 deposit. But I can take the machine, use it. If I break it, I'm screwed. But the bottom line is with the whole thing, that's what they were supposed to do. And of course, what they didn't do is what they constantly do or fail to do, and what we're going through right now with disabled people. They have disabled laws that have no penalty for violating them. Well, they put one in last year, so that's good. We'll see how well that works. See if we can get the moronic government to enforce its own laws. Fat chance, especially when it comes to disabled people. The same thing happens with cars. Nobody gives a damn, okay? What they want to do is give you a ticket for speeding. They want to give you a ticket for not using a signal. They want to give you all these tickets. If you're a disabled person, they want to take you to jail and impound your car and say you're drunk when you're not. That's a cute trick, and they're pulling it. But that's a subject for another story. What I'm illustrating is the fact that this government that we labor under is totally incompetent and is only out to bleed us dry. Well, they do that through encouraging their corporate friends, meaning automakers, which we want automakers. Don't get me wrong. I like having cars built out here. I like all this stuff. I want it built here in the USA. I think that's a great thing. I think cars built in another place, well, that's okay too. That's your choice. But, I drive a lot of foreign cars, so I'm not prejudiced. But, I like cars built here. But they all have this silliness involved with where you have to go out and do so many things. You have to go to the dealer to fix this, go to the dealer to fix that, blah, blah, blah. They've actually gotten to the point now for several years where they're not releasing the engineering data for common parts to the aftermarket. We ran into this with some of the Chevys and some of the Fords. I mean, we had a big old F450 four-wheel drive, couldn't buy any of the parts for the front end in the aftermarket, which is usually better than the factory stuff. We find out what's going wrong, we fix it. Oh no, you had to go buy it from Ford. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't stupidly expensive, okay? It wasn't economics. It's just the fact that they were cornering their market, and it's going to be expensive when they corner their market. This isn't a situation where they're going to do any deals for you. If you remember a couple, 3 years ago, when all these cars were out there, you couldn't get a car because they were all sold. Everybody needed a car, and the rates were good. And, they're bagging people an extra $50,000 to buy a car. Not everything, but, mostly $10,000 or more. And all these salesmen were talking about how wealthy they got, and they were making $250,000 a year selling cars at the Kia dealership, and all this bragging going on about all the money they're making. And now they're like, boo, I can't sell a car. Well, yeah, guess what? You hose the public, and the public ain't happy. So people don't go to buy a car because they think, oh, it'd be nice to have a new car now. They go there because they ain't got one. And that's a problem. The factories and the car business has basically screwed itself. Well, they're continuing that game by making it near impossible for you to fix a vehicle when one of their modules go out. They want to make it harder for me to fix them when a module goes out. We used to have a deal with BMW. We could get hooked up, and they'd only charge us like $35 or $40 per car to do a reload and reprogram, which was a great deal. I don't know if they do that nowadays. I haven't done one in a while. But the point of the matter is that what we're dealing with here is this captive ownership. You may have bought an XYZ. I'm not mentioning any names because guess what? They all are doing it, okay? This is a concerted effort, okay? I don't know if you know what price fixing is. Well, everybody in the industry gets together and puts a price on something, and that's what we're going to sell it for. Gas stations not gas station, but the oil companies got caught doing that 40, 50 years ago. That's illegal. Well, they're doing it, okay? They're doing it and getting away with it because nothing gets enforced in this country anymore other than screwing us, all right? Well, it gets worse, okay? They now have a situation where there's a theft unit in the modules, mainly in the body control module. So you have a failed body control module. You go out and you get a new one, you slap it in, you get the $700 program, you go in there and reload it, and it still won't start. What the heck is going on? Well, come to find out, unless you have a security clearance, a background check, all this stuff from the manufacturer, okay? You're not allowed to use the theft module programming system. It's completely, you can't log into it. You have to have credentials from the manufacturer. You have to pass this crap, right? As a tech, all their guys do it, all right? It's a great little racket. Dealers got you cornered again. What are they going to charge? Much as they can get. They don't have any competition. See, we are their competition. We are what keeps their prices down. Without us doing the work, and man, I got to tell you, they charge so stinking much money, it's ridiculous, all right? It's crazy. You guys think we charge a lot? The dealer's absolutely up in the night. It's absolutely insane, the prices the dealer's charging. And what? Oh, well, we're the dealer. We're experienced. We know what's going on. Not true. You get a car that's about 4 or 5 years old, and the dealer doesn't know squat, because any mechanic worth his salt, and remember how expensive I said the dealer is? Highest price of all? Well, they don't pay their help very well. When you've got a guy that's sitting there, and he's the guy. He's the guy who's going to make your car run. He's going to fix your car. He's going to do all this stuff. He's trained and everything else. Another thing, factory trained. There ain't no such thing as a factory trained dude, okay? Nobody goes to the factory and gets trained. It wouldn't matter anyways. All you'd know is how they put the car together, okay? That's assembly. That's all the factory is worth. They have a training that comes from the manufacturer, and they go to classes in hotels, and they get free pizza, and they sit there and they go through this class, and what do they get? Oh, they get a little thing called a certificate. Now, they're not certified. They just have a certificate that they took the class, okay? Doesn't say nothing. There's another bullshit story in the car business about certified mechanics. There isn't a certified mechanic in the world, okay? They carry certificates that say they took the class. Certified, I read the book, okay? Most of those don't even have a test. So here's this dealer, these mechanics that work there. All they need is one, but they can have 2 or 3 that have passed background checks and can do that, okay? And if you don't have that, you're not getting in there. You're not getting your customer's car started. It doesn't matter. They won't even let you take the test. This stuff is so much blocking trade. It's illegal restraint of trade. The Federal Trade Commission, for all the billions of dollars we pay that phony organization, should be on top of these manufacturers and slamming our ass for cheating you and me, all right? I drive cars too. I don't like it. I'll just sell the parts off the son of a bitch and send it down the road. What are you going to do? I got avenues, okay? You're stuck. And that's crap. I don't like people being pushed into a corner. You have to do this. You have to go to the dealer. Look they tried telling people for years, Volkswagen's really good. And I'll say Volkswagen because these cheating bastards, I beat them in court, which is fun as hell. If you rebuild a transmission in a Volkswagen and you use a universal fluid in their automatic transmission, and you go in a dealer and they pull that stick and it's red instead of amber, they will lie to the customer and tell them, whoever put this fluid in there ruined the transmission. Now, Volkswagen fluid just doesn't have red dye in it. That's it. It meets certain specifications. If you're using a fluid that meets the Volkswagen specifications, those are in your owner's manual, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't matter if it's green, all right? But this is a BS thing that Volkswagen does. They will tell a customer that whoever did this transmission cheated you, and seen them take the shops to court. And it's crap. It's a bald-faced lie, because all you have to do is show a bottle of the fluid that you used, and it says right on the back, this meets Volkswagen specs. Well, it also meets Volvo, and it meets BMW, and all these other, because it's very easy to create that for these people. That's what they do. And just so you know why they have different fluids, like in an automatic transmission, it has nothing to do with the operation of the transmission per se. It has to do with the comfort of the shift, and clutches that are inside of the friction materials can make noise when they're applied. You have a brake sound every time you change gears. Well, people don't like that. What's wrong with my transmission? So they modify the friction in the fluid to get rid of that, okay? You're not going to have sounds and all kinds of other problems. Is it going to ruin the lubrication of the transmission, overheat it, blow up the torque converter? No, it's not going to do any of those things. It's really a friction modifier so that you don't hear or feel some of the characteristics of the transmission. It's based on what materials they use for friction materials, okay? I can take a Volkswagen transmission and I can get friction materials that are the same that go in a General Motors transmission, an old one that uses what we call Dexron 3. That's kind of the only base transmission fluid left in the world. I mean, Ford uses it, everybody uses it. It's a base for so many things. You can put Dexron 3 in a Volkswagen and run it if you use the same friction materials that you use in a Chevy transmission. It's the same damn thing. Can you get them? Yeah, we buy all kinds of different friction materials. I built a transmission for one of my 4x4s. It was a 4L60E, one of the weakest puke transmissions ever made. It's fun until it breaks. But we use different clutches. And because of that, we use an upgraded fluid because it didn't screech when it changed gears, or it would soften the application to where it didn't feel like it was going to give you whiplash. Just the fluid itself. It's not a real big deal, okay? It's just more of a customer thing where, the customer doesn't feel like his whole transmission is going to blow up on him when it goes down the street. So, yeah, Volkswagen pulled that crap where they said you can't use any other fluid, you'll blow it up and blah, blah, blah. They got people to go to court and stuff. When they get slapped, if the shop comes in there and says, look, here's the deal, almost any judge is going to say, you're out of your mind. What are you doing here? I've seen them do it on catalytic converters. They're just notorious for that crap. So what happens is this so-called proprietary stuff that dealers have, they're allowed, or they were allowed, now they can get away with what they want apparently, they were allowed to do 2 years with a new innovation, and then it went to the rest of the market. The rest of the car makers could use it. And that kind of was a fair deal. I mean, the public would benefit from that. That was a good thing. But now they've decided to do their own damn thing. And what they've done over the years, and they've been caught for this, they've been slapped for this, they've been fined for that, they would tell people that if you didn't bring your new car in and get the oil changed at the dealer during the warranty period, your warranty was void. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I can even spell it for you. I mean, they got slapped so hard. We had that stuff in the 60s and the 70s. And Volkswagen tried to carry that on with their transmissions. And I don't recall it ever going to the Federal Trade Commission over that. They've had enough problems with fraud. But, I'm not in love with that company, I can tell you, for several reasons. But most of them don't have anything to do with this conversation at the moment. What I am serious about is the fact that as these cars get older and older and older, they're going to be more difficult and more expensive to service. So by the time it gets down to the last 2 users in its life, you're going to be talking about people that can't afford a $2,000 or $3,000 repair. The car's going to go bye-bye. It's outgone. They can't do that. It's just not feasible. It's not monetarily feasible. Why should they suffer for this? Why should they? And it's nothing. It's literally nothingness. It's something they have invented and locked in that's detrimental to you. Now, one of my specialties is all these Rolls-Royce and Bentleys. Now, the Bentley Arnage is a car that was designed and built originally under the ownership of Rolls-Royce, which owned Bentley. And at the time, there were 2 problems. One was they couldn't use the old smog system, the old engine management. It wasn't legal, and they weren't going to be able to sell the cars in the United States, and this is the biggest market. California being the biggest market there is for Rolls-Royce and Bentley, at least at the time it was. What they did is they employed BMW to make motors. So when the Arnage came out and the Seraph, which was its Rolls-Royce counterpart, very similar cars, of course, grills and labels. The Seraph had a V12 BMW motor. It was a great motor, don't get me wrong. The only V12 they ever made was worth a shit. They put it in a Rolls-Royce. In the Arnage, you got a twin turbo, 4.5 liters, 4.4, but we call it 4.5. And that thing was a screaming little Mimi, great little motor. And when you got your new Arnage home, you'd notice that, whoa, the air conditioning controls look just like a BMW. And we just had a discussion on a group that I run. Somebody couldn't figure out why the air conditioning didn't work for squat. That as either it was too hot or too cold, and they couldn't figure out no matter what they did. And I said, well, you got to adjust the wheel. It's a BMW air conditioning. It doesn't have a wheel. It's got one in the back, but it won't control it. There's nothing up in the front. Yeah, there is. Instead of being in between the 2 vents up in the middle of the dashboard, it's off on the side, okay, where the trip odometer reset is. There's a little area this big, and it's got a wheel in it. And I've had people that know these cars tell me, well, I never even paid attention to it. Of course, this is what came in the cars. You got an English car, people that are used to English cars, get in this thing, and I'm not used to it, BMW. Even BMW guys weren't used to this because of the way they changed things. Well, then the sale of Rolls-Royce and Bentley comes up. And Volkswagen, really, they had the money to buy the damn thing, okay? And that was a bad thing because BMW, who didn't have the money at the time, they were basically stuck with Range Rover. They'd bought Rover, and it was literally sucking them down the drain. It was a really bad situation. So they didn't have the cash to buy Bentley and Rolls-Royce. And so it went to Volkswagen, and the first thing the Nazis at BMW did was say, we are not going to let you have the BMW motors because now you sold it to VW, and we're gonna annex the Sudetenland. You're screwed, right? So what happens? Volkswagen, and this was a smart move on their part, not this time, not beating them on this. They took the old V8 motor that was introduced in November of 1959 at 6 3/4 liters. These suckers had turbos on them. They were a brute, right? But their systems didn't work. They turned around and paid Zytec whatever they needed to produce what was called an OBD2 system that had a common plug with everything else, but you still can't read it unless you have a special computer, which was not the spirit of the OBD2 rules, but this is what we let them get away with. So you still have to have a specialty scanner to scan a BMW, or scan a Bentley, even though it's got a Rolls-Royce motor in it, and it's OBD2. It's the system works great, so you need to do something, right? Well, Volkswagen said, oh, screw it. We sell more Bentleys than we do Rolls-Royces. So they gave Rolls-Royce to BMW, and that's why in 2004 and 5 they came out with a completely different car. It was nothing like any Rolls-Royce had been made before. Different story, different place, but all these problems are running into today with these cars. And I've got about 1,700 followers on this group. And there's some people that are really pretty smart. They've worked on it for years, and they know if you lose the key, you can't get a new one. If you did get a new one, you might be able to get it cut, but you're not going to get it programmed. So the transponder won't work. You still got a car. We call it bricked. Just like a regular computer. It ceases to work, locks up, it's bricked. The whole freaking car will brick. No way you're going to drive your Bentley down the road, okay? So that's one situation with it. Then there's the alarm system. If the fob dies, you can't, somebody's got a new one or whatever, but who wants to pay $1,000 for a damn fob? I mean, that's just crap. I want to drive a car and enjoy it. I don't want to worry about $1,000 for a damn push button BS thing. So in the middle of all this, we now have a system that's integrated, a theft system that's integrated with the powertrain control module. So when the theft unit goes bad, you lose keys, can't get the transponder, you got all these little problems going on, your car is hosed. You have the world's most expensive lawn ornament. Damn. That just gets me. I mean, this is one of the things that I hate about factories and dealers. Yeah, you produce the car, but you put gremlins in them. You screw with them. You do what Bill Gates does. You make a great system and then throw some crap in it so people have to pay more money to get rid of the crap. Ever wondered why your computer gets a virus? Oh, I wake up this morning, there's a virus in my computer. So you go looking for, oh, they got a cure for it. How the hell did they get a cure? You just got it this morning. How'd they get a cure? Because they made the disease. That's the whole thing. This is the whole deal with Microsoft. They cause the problem and have a solution ready to go. And all it takes is some money out of your pocket. Isn't that quite the racket? You know, there's a lot of rackets going on out here. This thing with cars is ridiculous. So what we're doing here, and we'll go on with this because I want to come to an end on this. It's going to be 30 minutes in talking. People don't last that long usually, but you should pay attention to this because you're going to have to know what your car is doing. You have to know what you're looking at and what these assholes are doing to you. All right? I can get around it. You can't. All right? I want you to get around it. I want you to drive your car. I don't want it to cost you $3,000 to get a $1,000 car running. I don't want that. All right? I mean, this is hurting senior citizens. This is hurting young people. It's hurting anybody that's out there that needs transportation because nobody knows, except us guys. Well, the dealers know, but they're not going to tell you. This needs to come to a screeching halt. This must be dealt with. And it needs to be strictly dealt with. It has to stop. We have to do something. I don't care what you do. Get on the phone and call your congressman, call a state legislator, call anybody you can. Call the Federal Trade Commission and bitch about it. This thing we're doing, these Bentleys, the whole system, they put the theft module in the computer that runs your motor. So when the theft module goes bad or you can't get a key, you can't start the car. You might as well just throw it in the trash. So we're coming up with a computer that runs the engine and the transmission, does all the shifting and driving, running the fuel injection and telling the turbo to turn on or not to turn on. Everything they do normally. But there's no theft module in it. You want an anti-theft module? Go buy a Viper. Okay? Go buy something commercially available on the market because you know what? There's some good stuff out there. It works a lot better than this crap that the manufacturers are putting on it. They're doing it for a reason. People talk about planned obsolescence. Oh, this is worse than planned obsolescence. This is sabotage, okay? This is absolute theft of your money, and it needs to come to an end. So we're going to keep talking about this as every little thing comes up, and what we're dealing with on the Bentley. You say, oh, I'm not interested in Bentleys. I'll never drive one. I'll never own it. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing, making the vehicle work, even though there's a bunch of bullshit computers and modules on it that are killing you. I mean, if you've got a 15-year-old Suburban or a Tahoe, and some of these modules go out, you're looking at thousands of dollars. Well, the thing's only worth a couple of $3,000, probably got a couple 100,000 miles on it, running to the ground, needs paint. Those famous Chevy seats got a big old hole in the upholstery, goes right through the leather, and worth of crap. Seat heaters don't work anymore. You're lucky if the power windows work. So you got this $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000 kitty hauler. And son of a bitch, now it's going to cost $2,000 or $3,000 to get the thing running again because of this crap. And there aren't many shops that can deal with that. I watch a few of them on YouTube. I see the equipment they got. I try to buy it. I try to get into it. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating because People are getting screwed blind, right? We need to stop this. Cars don't need computers that run a fucking taillight. Excuse my language, but you don't need it. Taillights ran for over 100 years without a computer. Now we got them, and they work half the time. And every time a taillight goes, okay, fine, you have to put a bulb in it, $20, whatever they charge for. But if it's in the computer, the module, it's $1,000. If the body control module fails and your lights aren't lighting up, $2,000-$3,000. So my question is, why? Well, I know why, because they're ripping you off. They want you to buy new cars. They don't want you to drive old cars. And I want to know, what are you going to do? Are you going to put up with it? Are you going to bend over and say, well, can't do nothing about it? Can't fight City Hall? Well, yeah, you can. You can fight City Hall, all right? Enough people go down to City Hall and bitch, they'll do something about it. Well, call the Federal Trade Commission. Make complaints. Call your congressman. Call somebody. Call these politicians and make them work. They're making too much money. They make $175,000 a year, and God knows how much more they steal from you. I mean, they're all millionaires. Why? We're the ones that are supposed to be the millionaires. They're just supposed to be our representatives. They don't represent shit. Go make them do it. Get them on the phone. Show up at their office. Complain. Get it done. These guys are cheating you. You are going to be at a point where unless you're rich, you can't drive a car. They don't want people. And the thing is, here's the problem you're dealing with. People are driving old beater cars because that's what they need to do to get to the next step in life. That's not forever. Guy gets a job at McDonald's. He's driving this old beater car. He doesn't need a $2,000 bill, so now he can't get to work. It's not what he needs. These are all stepping stones for people to move up in life. And every time you take a stepping stone away, you're keeping these people from moving up. It's absolutely sick. It's absolutely ridiculous. People are trying to learn something in life and give a skill and do better, and they're having to spend all their money on this crap. Well, call these people and complain. I do all day long. I hate it. I call them up. And if 100 of you call, guess what's going to happen? They're going to pay attention. If 1,000 you call, they're going to pay attention. If 2 people call, it's like, I don't care about them. Get out there and do something about it. You can send me a message in my contacts, and we can talk, and maybe we'll put something together and become a block that's a pain in everybody's ass, because that's the only way you get anything done is be a pain in somebody's ass. And with that, I'm going to brag about my shop a little. We've been working on this nasty corner. This has been a pain in my backside. We literally, and gotta brag, what we did, if you look down here, we got bins and separated our sockets. Okay, so they're all separated by quarter drive, 3/8 drive, half drive. And then we can just put racks together as we go and eventually eliminate it. But it's stuff on the wall and so on. And this is what makes it work. This is stuff you have to do, and it's every day. And it's not fun, but getting it set up and making it work, that's what it's all about. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care. Stay out of trouble. And look forward to hearing from you. Bye.